So here are 3 pieces of language learning advice that I wish I had before I became a 6th language speaking polyglot. The first piece of advice is that if you are not projecting yourself into a space as a speaker of that language, people are not going to treat you that way. We've all had a moment where we went to go speak the language to somebody and they responded back to us in English. And you guys know how discouraging and how deterring that can be to actually continue speaking the language with them, because you feel like, well, damn, I failed. The only thing is you only fail if you allow yourself to give into that. What do you actually lose by continuing speaking in Spanish with that person? You may feel discouraged, but keep asserting yourself as a Spanish speaker, and people are going to begin treating you like that. It becomes this kind of uncomfortable tug-of-war type of feeling, because you know, they're speaking to you in English, you're speaking to them in Spanish, and it's like, who's going to give in? Because it's not going to be me. You need to grow the resilience to keep asserting yourself as a Spanish speaker in that space. Otherwise, you're going to allow people's words to just keep deterring you from speaking the language. The second piece of advice I wish I had was to take full accountability of your immersion. And we need to stop allowing external factors to dictate how or when we can practice the language. I said in my last video that fluency is not just going to knock at your doorstep. You have to actually be pursuing fluency. You know, there's 2 types of language learners. There's people who are actually seeking the opportunity to speak the language, and there are people who just wait for the chance to use it. See, I knew someone who was learning Spanish before, and she used to tell me, well, you know, I practice my Spanish when people would come to my my shop. And, you know, people like that, they're not actively pursuing the chance to speak it. They're just waiting for the chance to appear itself. And if you want to become fluent, you can't have that type of mindset. You have to be actively pursuing the chance to speak the language. Find a space where you're going to actually have to use the language. You know, go to a Spanish-speaking church if you're learning Spanish, or get involved in an NGO in your area that's focused on, you know, Latino or immigration rights. And you'll probably be around people who are actually embracing of that journey, because we know how good that can feel when you speak the language to someone and they're just so blown away by the fact that you either speak it good or that you're even attempting to learn the language. So those people always make the language learning journey a lot better and just more comfortable. The third piece of advice is that you will always, no matter how good you become in a language, you will always encounter someone who has something to say. You could be learning Spanish for 8 years, become fluent, have lived in a Spanish-speaking country for 5 years, and speak it fluently like a native speaker. But sometimes when people know that you're not a native speaker, they will have things to say about you, whether it be about your pronunciation, your accent, whatever. Even if you've lost an accent in the language, people will always have something to say about you. There will always be someone who has something to say. We need to learn how to focus on the people who actually embrace and who are actually uplifting to our journey than those who are discouraging.